The first thing I want you to be aware of is that I'm going to be recording this class. After this class is over, if you would like, I can email you a link to a YouTube video of the very class that you just attended. I'm talking about the class that you just attended, this one, with your questions, my voice, your voices, etc. That way, it's not just somebody else's class that you're watching, but actually your class. So just want you to be aware of that. That is going to be an option for you when the class is over. Next, as the beginners class, we're going to be assuming that you have already done all of your data entry. That means your staff is in, your rooms and equipment, if any, your groups and services with their prices and times, your inventory, your clients, etc. This class is going to be focusing on booking appointments, processing sales, setting up commissions, and closing your drawer. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to be talking about is booking appointments. Now, there are two different types of appointment books. Actually, there's three, but we're going to be focusing on two different types of appointment books in the software. There's something called the day view screen and something called the week view screen. The day view screen looks like this. You're going to have your staff members running across the top working for a particular day, in this case, Thursday, June 22nd. Now, you may only have a handful of employees. Maybe your screen looks like this. Maybe it even looks like this. But again, you can have as many of your staff showing on the screen at one time, up to 31 columns on a single screen with your staff members based on the number of staff members that you're tracking in the system. That's going to be entirely up to you how you'd like that to be. If you are a day spa, you can also show your rooms and or equipment if you use any of that as well. Okay, so the day view screen is where we're going to be booking appointments to start. Then we'll talk about the week view. But first, the day view screen. How do we book an appointment? Well, there are several steps, and once you get used to doing it, it should take you about an average of 7 seconds to book an appointment. But there are several steps, and you need to learn how to do them. The first one is pulling up a customer. So somebody would like to book an appointment. We're going to ask them their name and whether or not they've ever been to visit us before. If they have visited you before, or if basically what I mean by that is if they're in your database, then you can simply left-click on the client button here in the upper left-hand corner, and this will allow you to pull them up from your database. Now, if you're using a touch screen, then we've set it up this way for you, so you can touch these with your finger and then press select. So if I wanted to pull up Mr. Wiggins, I could type W-I-G-G, and I could add more. The more I put in, the shorter the list is going to be, and then select. And everybody whose last name starts with W-I-G-G is going to appear. And I could pull somebody up, like Janet Wiggins, and her name is now here, and I can book an appointment for her. However, if I'm not using a touch screen, I can click on Client, and again, just like you saw, I used my mouse to do this rather than my finger, but I could also use my keyboard. So I could type in something like that, and again, everybody whose last name starts with W-I-G-G-I in this case will appear. And I could choose Miss Wiggins again, Janet Wiggins, or maybe go with Margaret Wiggins this time, and now her name is here. I can also, when I'm looking up somebody that's already in my database, I can look them up by first name, or by telephone number, or by member number, simply by clicking. So by first name, and I type in something like Matthew, and all of my Matthews will appear. Or by telephone number, and I can put in either an entire 10-digit telephone number, or even just a portion. And if I put in a portion of a number, then everybody who has that in their telephone number will appear. I can also, if I'm using my membership system, I can look up by member number. So I can actually swipe a membership card to look somebody up. If they are not in my database, then instead of left-clicking on this button, then I can right-click on the button. And that will allow me to add somebody brand new. And there's a lot I can do here. So for instance, I can put in a first and last name, 3 different telephone numbers, and an email address, and how they heard by me. I don't need to do any of that. All I need is a first and last name, nothing else. But if I wanted to, I can even hit more, and that will allow me to put in a lot more information once I've got their first and last name in. So I could type in something like Celeslies. Let's just pretend that that's her name, and now I could hit more, and I can take a lot more information. I can put in their address, city, state, zip, their occupation, their email, their birthday, anniversary, et cetera, who they prefer to see when they come, all sorts of information that I can put in the system. Once I hit save and I close, now that brand new customer is ready to have an appointment booked for them. Okay, so those are the different ways to get a customer in the system so that I can now book an appointment for them. So once I've done that, I get to choose from my groups. Remember, your groups are user-defined. By the way, you know what, let me just pause myself here for a moment. I want to remind you guys that I'm covering a lot of information in a relatively short period of time, so I speak rather rapidly. I want you to feel free to interrupt me with any questions that you might have, okay? If while I'm going you say, hey, you've got a question, just stop me. Just say, hey, I'd like to ask a question. Ask your question, because as you can see, I am going to be speaking very rapidly. Okay. So next I'm going to choose my groups. Again, as I said, your groups are user-defined. That means you have created them. So I've got lots of different groups in here that I've created, and you're going to choose the ones that you've created. So I'm going to go maybe with my hair group. And then in my hair group, I can choose from a list of my hair services. In this case, I'll choose maybe a blow, dry, and curl. So I want to book that with Abigail at 11 o'clock. So under Abigail's column, I find the corresponding time. There's my 11 o'clock. And I'm going to left-click to block out the amount of time that that appointment takes. Then I'm going to right-click to choose what type of customer they are. And I've got several different options here. 95% of what you're going to be doing, though, is probably going to be these first two, the no type and the request. No type means they don't care who they see. You just book them with the person that was available at that time, maybe if that was the only person available. However, a request means they specifically asked for that customer. For that client, for that staff member. So I'm going to go ahead and say request. The appointment is now booked. Celeslies Kira has been booked for a blow, dry, and curl at 11 o'clock with Abigail. So once again, I'm going to choose a customer from my database, whoever they may be. I'll go with Sarah Fandel here. Choose a group, choose a service, choose my staff member and time, Kathy at 12 o'clock. Left-click to block out the time. Right-click to choose what type of customer they are, and the appointment is booked. That's how you book a standard appointment. Now let me ask this, Olivia and Kira, are either one of you a day spa or a med spa, or are both of you salons? Or we'll start with you, Olivia. Are you a salon or a spa?
Both.
Okay. And Kira, how about you? Are you a salon or a spa?
A salon.
Okay. All right. So we've got a salon and spa, and we've got a salon here. So I'm going to very briefly talk about some what we call two-tiered bookings and three-tiered bookings, because those are common in spa environments, not so common in the salon environment. So Kira, just bear with me. This will just take a moment. But I'm going to talk about now what we just did are called single-tiered bookings. And why? Because all we did was book an appointment with a staff member. That's single-tiered booking. One appointment with the staff member. No problem at all. Now I'm going to do something called two-tiered booking. And this is common in a salon and in a spa environment. So I'm going to choose a customer, whoever they are. We'll go with Hazel Raw here. And I'm going to choose a different group. In this case, I'm going to go with maybe my massage group. And I'm going to choose a service like a Head 90. And I'm going to book that with Maureen at 10 o'clock. So I left-click to block out the time, just like we did before. Right-click to choose what type of customer they are. And now it asks me, what room is this service going to be performed in? And I'm going to say the Elixir room. So now my appointment with Hazel Raw is booked with Maureen, and it's booked in the Elixir room. This is known as two-tiered booking. So in a day spa environment or even a med spa environment, you may need to track your rooms as well. And if that's the case, now we've got two-tiered booking. So now we want to talk about three-tiered booking. So I'll choose another customer here. Go with Marla Tabor here. I'm going to stay in massage, and this time I'm going to go with my Hot Stone 60. And I'm going to book that with Michelle at 12 o'clock. So I'm going to left-click to block out my time, right-click to choose what type of customer she is, and it again asks me for the room. This time I'll choose my herbal room, and it asks me what equipment is being used, and I'll choose my black stones. So now I've got Marla booked with Michelle in the herbal room with the black stones. That's three-tiered booking. Again, two-tiered and three-tiered booking is not usually found in salon environments, but is very common in spa environments or med spa environments, okay? All right, so again, different ways to book an appointment. Now, we just talked about booking what we call standard appointments. What about standing appointments? What is a standing appointment? Well, if somebody comes in, let's say, every other Tuesday at 11 for their European facial, or every other Tuesday at 11 for their root touch-up or something like that, whatever it is, if they come in regularly at the same time, same date, not date, same time, same day of the week, etc., that would be a standing appointment. So I would like to book a standing appointment. So what I'm going to do is this. I don't need to go into all groups. I just like to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this button that says Standing Appointments. And that brings up my standing appointment window. Now I want to show you something. I just did that here in the appointment book. But I don't have to be in the appointment book to do that. From the main menu, I could have gone to this appointment button and chosen Standing Appointments. And there it is again. I also, from Sales, could have gone to Book Appointments and chosen Standing Appointments. And there it is again. So how does this work? Well, I'm going to go here, Standing Appointments, and I'm going to choose a customer. So I'm going to choose, let's go with somebody I don't normally choose. We'll go with Teresa Faria here. And then I'm going to say, who would they like to see when they come in? I'm going to say that they would like to see Christian. When do they, for what service do they want to see Christian? I'll say that they want to see Christian for a eyelash tinting. And my request type, just like I do whenever I book an appointment, I still have to choose what type of customer they are. We'll say it's a request. They asked for Christian. When would they like to come in? And on what day? So for my first appointment, I'll say perhaps that they want to come in on Friday, the 23rd. That's going to be their first appointment. At what time do they want to come in? Maybe 10 a.m. And how often are they going to be coming in? Every day? Well, that would mean that it would be 10 o'clock on Friday, 10 o'clock on Saturday, 10 o'clock on Sunday, 10 o'clock on Monday, et cetera, et cetera. If I said every other day, again, it would start with Friday, then it would go to Sunday, then it would go to Tuesday, then Thursday, et cetera. Every third day, every fourth day, I'm going to say every 2 weeks. They want to come in on Fridays, starting with this Friday at 10 a.m. every other Friday. So that's what I'm doing here. Now I can say, how many visits do they want to book this for? From 1 to 256. Now understand, there's 52 weeks in a year. So if I said every other week and I chose 256 appointments, that would be 10 years worth of appointments. Probably not something we want to do. But I can choose, let's say maybe, let's say 12 appointments. The next thing I need to do is decide whether or not I want to choose this box that says auto standing. If I leave it gray, that means this is going to book 12 appointments and it's done. If, however, I click on it and make it blue, then what it's going to do is it's going to book 12 appointments, but every single time they use one of those appointments, it's going to put another appointment 2 weeks out at the end of all of my appointments. You'll notice my last appointment here is November 24th of 2017. So if I had auto standing and they come in tomorrow, then it will add another appointment 2 weeks after this date. And then they use their next one, it will add another appointment 2 weeks after the next date, etc. That's auto standing. You don't have to use it, it's entirely up to you. Next, we've got this button that says Show. This is really important and you cannot skip this step. When you click Show, what you're looking for is the status. So all of the appointments that you're about to book are now listed. Friday, June 23rd at 10 a.m., it's okay. That means you can book it. Friday, July 7th at 10 a.m., it's okay, you can book it, etc., etc. However, you may see X's. Instead of okay, you might see XX. Maybe Christian has already set his summer vacation and he will not be in on August 4th. Maybe he leaves on August 1st and comes back on August 7th. If that's the case, there would be 2 X's here. That means that appointment can't be booked with Christian on that day at that time. If that's the case, we can click on that appointment and we can choose an alternate operator, or if Christian is working that day but he simply already has an appointment booked at that time, then we can choose an alternate time. Bear with me just one moment, everybody. Sorry about that. I was about to sneeze. I did not want to sneeze in your ear. Okay, so I can choose an alternate operator. I can even choose an alternate time. If I don't choose an alternate operator or time, then I can go ahead and just book now. And all 12 of the appointments have been booked. So I know that seemed like a lot of steps, but it really is not very many more than when you're actually booking a regular appointment. But in this case, I just booked all 12 of them at the same time. So let's take a look. Let's go into our appointment book, and let's go to tomorrow. There's Christian, and look, there's Teresa Faria for an eyelash tinting at 10 a.m. Let's go forward 2 weeks. And one day to make it Friday, July 7th, and there she is again. It's booked. Let's go forward 4 weeks, plus a day to make it Friday. And there she is again on July 21st, Teresa Faria. So it booked all 12 appointments. It's a really quick and easy way to book standing appointments. And I can go to calendar and hit today, and it'll just take me right back to my current date. So that's booking a standing appointment. Any questions on that before we continue?
No.
All right, moving on. Okay, so now that we have learned how to book standard appointments, and we've learned how to book standing appointments, what about rescheduling an appointment? So Celeslies Kira here calls and says, you know what, I'm so sorry I can't make it at 11 o'clock. I'm running a little behind. Can I come in at 11:30? Well, I can simply look at Abigail's calendar here and see that 11:30 is available. Of course, everything's available because this is sample data and I've got a wide open book, but I can just hit this box that says reschedule. By doing that, what I've done is I've activated what we call our drag and drop function. So I can grab the appointment that wants to reschedule by left clicking and holding it down and moving it to my new time, say 11:30, and release. Left click, 2 o'clock, release. Left click, 10 o'clock, release. Left click, 12 o'clock, release. Left click, 11:30, release. That's rescheduling an appointment. It's super easy. Now, what if Celeslies Kira called and said, you know what, I'm so sorry, I can't make it today at all. What other times does Abigail have available this week? The simplest thing to do is to go to Abigail's name, right-click on her appointment, and select Go to Week View. When I go to Abigail's Week View, I will see just her schedule for the next 2 weeks. And reschedule again, and I can move this to Saturday at 11:30, or move it to Monday at 10 o'clock, or move it to Wednesday at 1 o'clock, or bring it right back to 11 o'clock today. And then at any time, I can go back to a particular day by right-clicking and select Go Today. And that takes me back, in this case, to Thursday, June 22nd. So I can reschedule not only for a specific day, but I can also reschedule to the week view for a different day entirely. That's rescheduling. Now, there's another way to reschedule. I can right-click and choose Reschedule. And if I do that, the appointment disappears, and I'm left with a little question mark next to my cursor. And so I could then take the appointment somewhere else, like 1 o'clock, and left to drop it down. Just a few more steps. Probably not as easy as the drag and drop feature, but both of those options are available to you. You can do the same thing in the week view. Right-click, reschedule, choose another day, left-click to drop it in. Okay? All right. Any questions on rescheduling before we continue?
No.
No.
All right. Easy enough. You guys are simple today, so far anyway. All right. So then the next thing we're going to be talking about is unbooking an appointment. So I've got Cedric here, and he calls and says, hey, I'm sorry, I can't come in today or tomorrow, whenever his appointment is, but I can't come in, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to make it. I'll have to call you to reschedule. So I am not going to put him on another time. I'm going to have to wait for him to call me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right-click on his appointment and select Unbook. And when I select Unbook, it'll ask me, are you sure you want to do this? And I've got yes and no. If I say yes, the appointment will vanish off of my screen. If I say no, nothing will happen, just like I hadn't done anything at all. Okay, so really easy. Right-click on it, select Unbook, and his appointment it will allow you then to choose whether or not you actually want to go through that process of unbooking. Now, you might have noticed, let's right-click here and select, I've got Unbook and Unbook All This Day. A lot of people are afraid of this button that says Unbook All This Day. They think that if they click that, it's going to unbook all of the appointments they have that day for everybody. Well, obviously, that would be silly. Why would you? I mean, that, of course not. Instead, Unbook All This Day will only unbook all of the appointments that that particular client has. So maybe they got a package, and they're coming in for a day of beauty or a princess package or something like that. And she was going to get her hair done, and she was going to get her makeup done, and her nails done, and a manicure and a pedicure, whatever it may be. She's got 4 appointments, 5 appointments scheduled for today. Well, if she calls and says, hey, I can't come in at 11, I'm going to be a little bit late, I'll come in at 12, so I'm not going to be able to make the manicure pedicure portion of my, you could unbook that one appointment and leave the rest by selecting unbook. But if you select unbook all this day because she says, so sorry, can't make it today, can I reschedule for next week or whatever it is, when I select unbook all this day, it will unbook all of her appointments for that day, not just one, but only for that client that you right-clicked on. It certainly won't unbook for everybody, okay? So I know a lot of people get afraid of that. They see unbook all this day and they think that they're about to wipe out their appointment book for that day, and of course that's not what's going to happen. Okay, so that is rescheduling and or unbooking an appointment. Any questions on that before we continue?
No.
No.
Okay, let's move on then. Okay, so then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to be talking about multi-booking. Now, what is a multi-book? Remember I just said that maybe she comes in for a day of beauty or a princess package or something like that? You can pre-create packages, or you can create a package on the fly. So if I go to multi-book, if you have pre-created packages, they will be listed here. So I've got my Princess's Day package, my Chrissy's package, my Moss Queen, my Mercury, my We Will Rock You, my Laser Queen, Harrison Royal, Strands Pack, and my Faunison package. These are all the different packages that I've created. And they have different services associated with them. However, if you have not pre-created a package, then you can go to multi-service and you can do one on the fly. So for instance, I might say with any one of my staff members, I want to do an acrylic fills, and I'll stick it in, any operator for an acrylic fills. Then maybe I'll say, okay, then Christian is going to do the back facial, and I'll stick that in. And then I'll say anybody can do the, I don't know, we'll say blow, dry, and curl, just for the heck of it. I'm just going crazy here. And then accept. So I've got 3 different services here. And I get to choose the day that the customer would like to book their appointment, or even a date range. I'm going to say Tuesday the 27th. And so I can click here to change that to the 27th. And I'm going to say that the customer does not want to come in any earlier than 11 a.m. And then go. And it's going to find every available option for me. Once I have an option that works, I could choose that package. So let's take a look at what that is. Maureen is going to do the acrylic fills at 11:30. Christian is going to do the back facial at 12:30, and then he's going to do the blow, dry, and curl at 1:30. That's one thing I could have chosen. All sorts of different options for me here. So if that's good for the customer, then I can choose whoever that customer is. We'll go with Keith Epstein here and book it. So that was for Tuesday the 27th. Let's take a look, shall we? Let's go to the 27th. And look, the appointments have been booked. Let's go ahead and see more. So I've got Keith Epstein with Maureen at 11:30, followed by Keith Epstein with Christian for the back facial, and then for the blow dry. All 3 appointments have been booked, and calendar and today. So that's another way to do it. The system will find available options. Now you might say, you know, it might just be easier to just book each one of them individually. I know how to do that, and it's quick and easy. Okay, great. But what if your appointment book is not as open as mine, and you've got a lot of appointments booked? Now you've got to find who can do this service, book it, and then you've got to find who can do the next service immediately after that service is done, and then maybe find another person that can do it, another service immediately after that. Way it can take some time. By doing the multi-book, the system will find that for you. And of course, if you already have pre-created packages made, multi-book, if you have pre-created packages made, like my Princess's Day, I can just choose my day, choose my start time, and hit go. And again, it will find every available option for the package that I had already pre-created. Just cancel that. That's multi-book. Any questions on that before we continue?
No.
No.
And don't forget, packages can have their own unique prices. So instead of booking individual services, you could book a package that might be a discount by getting 3 or 4 or 5 different services that day. The whole package costs less than if you bought them all individually. So that's something to consider as well. Okay. As far as the appointment book is concerned, for our basic beginners class, we're done. That took up half the class right there all by itself. But now we're going to move on to other things. In fact, we're going to move on to the point of sale now. Before we can accept payments in the point of sale, there's 2 things we really need to do. You'll probably already have them done, but you need to go to, if you haven't done this before, you go to Setup, Configuration, Sales Register, and the first thing we need to do is set up our retail tax rates. So we go to our sales tax rates and put in what we charge for retail products tax. If you're in one of the states that also requires service tax rates, you can apply that as well and save that. Once you have done that, you can go back to Setup, Configuration, Sales Register, and go to Credit Cards Accepted. And you can put in the types of credit cards that you accept. By doing that, you're now going to be able to accept credit cards at the point of sale, and also the system will charge tax on your products and or services if required. So I'm going to go back to my appointment book here, and I'm going to say that Celeslies Kira here would like to check out. So I can right-click on her appointment and select Check Out. It will open my cash register for me with her information already filled in. Celeslies saw Abigail for a blow dry and curl. She owes me $50. So it populates the ticket for me based on their appointment. Let's go ahead and clear that and exit out of the appointment book altogether. What if I'm not in the appointment book? I can go to Sales. If the customer has an appointment with me, they will be listed in my point of sale. And they're going to be listed one of 2 ways, your choice. They're either going to be listed alphabetically, or they're going to be listed in order of checkout. If they're listed in order of checkout, like mine are, then as they check out, they should be at or near the top. Should be very easy to find them because it's an order of checkout. So if I choose Hazel here, Hazel saw Maureen for a head 90, $100. Let's clear that. If I were to choose Celeslies Kira saw Abigail for a blow dry and curl, $50. So it'll fill in right from their appointment book. If they did not have an appointment with you, then you can choose these buttons. For instance, if they're in your database, but they didn't have an appointment with you, I can click Clients, choose a customer, like Angela here, go to Service, choose the name of the operator that provided the service, and what the service was. In this case, a Brazilian blowout. So Angela saw Debbie, she got a Brazilian blowout, she owes me $350. Clear that. What if they're not in my database? I hit New, and I can add them brand new, just like I did before. And then their name would be here, and I could go to Service and fill in their ticket. I could do the same thing with product. So choose a customer, and I can scan my product if I'm using a barcode scanner, or if I'm not, I could type in a SKU number, or I can look up a product by clicking on the retail button. And then I can look it up by name. So I could type in something like nail. And everything that has the word nails in it will appear. I'm going to go with my OPI Nail Envy. That's what she's buying for $6. And I can say who sold it, like Anna sold it, and last. So Angela bought from Anna the OPI Nail Envy for $6. It puts in my local tax, and I'm ready to go. So let's say somebody does have an appointment. I'll choose Hazel here, and I will sell them product. So in this case, I'm going to use a SKU number. Leslie sold her the Justin All-in-One shampoo. So I've got my service, I've got my product. Maybe I'm ready to go to payment. Maybe not, because perhaps you'd like to offer a tip. I can go to gratuity and put a dollar amount in for Maureen, or I can apply a percentage. So perhaps I'll do 15% and accept. and Maureen gets an automatic 15% because it's a $100 service. She gets $15. It'll do the math for me. Let me remove that item. What if, while Hazel was there, she was upsold? Service, she also saw Debbie, and she got a blow dry. So she saw Maureen for a head 90, and she saw Debbie for a blow dry. And again, gratuity, put in a dollar amount for Debbie, then put a dollar amount for Maureen, or apply a percentage, and it will distribute and do the math for me. Debbie will get $6.30, Maureen will get $15, and now perhaps I'm ready to accept payment. So in payment, I can accept payment in lots of different methods. Cash, if I put in a dollar amount here that's different than the dollar amount you see, then it will make change for me if it's more. So if she gave me $200 bills, it's going to automatically make my change. But what if she paid me less? You can accept multiple methods of payment. So let's do it. She gives me $100 in cash and accept. Well, she still owes me $86.24. So maybe she wants to put that on a check, and I put in my check number. Or maybe she's going to give me a check for $50. Check number 123, and accept. Well, she owes me $36.24, and she's going to pay for that with the credit card. If you are processing credit cards directly through the software, it may look something like this. And you would click on your blue button, and you would stick your card into the chip reader, or you would swipe the card. If you are not processing directly through the software, then it would look like this, and you would choose what type of card they paid with. In this case, I'll say MasterCard, and accept. So now they've made their full payment of $186.24 in 3 different methods of payment. If this receipt is blue, their receipt will be emailed to them or printed. It's their choice. In their client file, it will say whether or not they want their receipt emailed or printed. If it is gray, it will not create a receipt. So it will not email or print the receipt. And accept. So let's take a look here. Let's go ahead and look at Hazel's again. I'm going to go into Hazel's information and go to her history. On the 22nd of June, she saw Debbie for a blow dry and Maureen for a head 90. She also was sold by Leslie the Just an All-in-One shampoo. If I were to click on any of these, I can view the entire transaction. There the whole thing is. She saw Maureen for a head 90. She saw Debbie for a blow dry. She gave Debbie a gratuity of $6.30 and Maureen a gratuity of $15. And she paid for a Just an All-in-One shampoo that Leslie sold her for $21 plus $1.94 in tax. Paid $100 in cash, $50 on check 123, and $36.24 on MasterCard. So the entire transaction is there for me if for any reason I needed to view it. Any questions on that before we continue?
No.
All right. Okay, so there's a lot in the point of sale that we don't cover in this class. Adding discounts, coupons, modifying prices, setting up transaction notes, setting up pop-ups, selling memberships, selling gift certificates or gift cards, selling series, things like that. Before we move on to setting up commissions, do you have any questions on the point of sale? Maybe something you were hoping I would cover that I didn't? Because obviously in the point of sale, there are other methods of payment that we didn't cover. Gift certificates, series on account, paying if you're part of a hotel or resort, charging to their room, payment with traveler's checks or with your own customized forms of payment, or even using points like airline miles. You can assign points to for your customers to earn so that they can get discounts or freebies from you in the future using those points. You learn more about those types of things in the advanced class, but if there's anything in the point of sale that you really wanted to learn in this class, I'm happy to answer that question now. Any questions on the point of sale before we move to commissions?
I don't think so.
All right, moving on then. Let's go ahead and clear this and exit out. Okay, so commissions. There are 3 different types of commissions that you can set up for your staff members. There are sliding scale commissions. That means you say, hey, you get this percentage for this amount of sales and services or product. You get this percentage for this amount of, et cetera. Then you also have standard rate commissions, where you simply say you get this percentage for this service or for this group of services or for all of these services, whatever it may be. It's just a standard percentage. And then you also have dollar amount, where it's not based on a percentage, it's actually based on a dollar amount. So now you say you get $45 for this service, or you get $30 for that service, or you get whatever it may be. Those are dollar amount commissions. So how is that done? Well, the first thing we do is we go to payroll. And in payroll, we go to employees. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our employees. Now, I've already added 9 employees. How do I know that? Because my next employee number is number 10. And by the way, when you add an employee, they are assigned a number. And with that number, they are able to check in and check out using the time clock. So with the time clock, I could put in a number, and Ashley Smith is going to clock in at 9:08. Done. I can then, at any time, maybe it's lunch, and so she's going to check out, puts in her number, and now it's clock out, and it shows the amount of time that she was there. So when you put in an employee, they are assigned a number, and that number can be used for the time clock. And yes, the time clock can be adjusted, and of course it can also be password protected. Let's go back to payroll. Okay, so we go in and we add our employees, put in their information. Then we can go to our commissions. Our first one is commission schedules, sliding commissions, add, modify tables. So I can choose an employee like Ashley here, and I can say that with service sales from $0 to $250, she gets 20%. And from $250 and a penny to $750, she gets 30%. From $750 and a penny to $1,500, she gets 40%. I can do that up to 6 different scales for service. I can do exactly the same thing for retail. Set up retail scales up to 6 different scales. From $0 to $100 in retail sales, she gets 10%. From $100 and a penny to $250, she gets 12%, etc. If I set up a sliding scale, then in reports, I can go to sales, and I can go to transactions, not transactions, operator reports, and go to my commission reports. There's a lot of different commission reports to choose from. But if I set up sliding scale, then I want this report, number 103, sliding scale without back bar, or this report, sliding scale with back bar, or my daily sliding scale, or my high scale without back bar, my high scale with back bar, etc. So based on what kind of commission you set up, that's going to determine what report you run. Then we go back to reports here. We'll go back to payroll here and go to employees again. And this time, instead of going to my commission schedules, I'm going to go to my commission rates. And I could do service rates. So I could choose a specific operator, like Ashley, and a specific service. Say when she does acrylic fills, I can put in a percentage. She gets 50%. She gets 60%, 70%, whatever it is. When she does a Brazilian wax, she gets 50%. But when she does a facial highlights with blow dry, I'm going to say she gets 40%. And when she does a half leg wax, she gets 65%. Well, I can change it. I could also just do it blanketly. I could just say, for Ashley, for all services, and then I could put in an amount, like 45% and accept, and she gets 45% on everything. Then I can go in and set individual services. Maybe you've got 100 different services, and she gets 45% on 98 of them, so you don't want to have to put in 45 on 98 different services and then change to a couple of others. No. Just put 45% for all services, so now she's getting it for all of them, then go to those other 2 and give them their own specific one. That way she's got 45% on 98, and let's say 35% on another, and 60% on a different one. Makes it very quick and easy to set up commissions that way. You can even, if you have a very complicated commission set up for someone like Ashley, after you've set up her complicated system, you could then duplicate it and say that Sally's is the same as Ashley's, or that Christian's is the same as Ashley's, etc. So you don't have to go through that process again. Employees, commission rates, dollar amounts. This one's going to be a little bit different. I could go with Ashley here and say that when Ashley does a back facial, which is $65, she gets $32.50. and accept. Now, that is the same as saying she gets 50%, right? $32.50 of a $65 service, sure. But by making it a dollar amount, if you changed your prices in the salon or spa, she doesn't automatically get a raise. You see, if she was on a percentage and you changed the price from $65 to $70, and instead of getting $32.50, she would get $35 if she was getting 50%. But as a dollar amount, if you change it from 65 to 70, she's still getting $32.50 unless you go in there and change it. A lot of consultants today prefer the dollar amount version. That way you can raise your prices for whatever reason and your staff doesn't get automatic raises. But of course, most places still do the percentages, and that's why it's still available to you. Absolutely, of course. You should be able to do either way. So, 3 different types. We've got our sliding types, we've got our standard percentage rates, and we've got our dollar amount. So you can set it up either way. And of course, you can do it for retail as well, not just sliding scale, but also give a percentage for a specific category of product. When you sell brushes, you get 15%. When you sell elbow gels, you get 5% or 10%, whatever. So you can do things like that as well. Then again, after you've set up their commissions, you're able to go into reports, sales, operator reports, commission reports. If you did a standard percentage, commission sales analysis is a great report to run, or combined commission, or net commission, or on service sales with back bar. If you did a dollar amount, then you're going to want this report on service sales by dollar or percentage, etc. So again, depending on what commission types you set up for your staff, that's going to determine what reports you run. Any questions on that before we continue?
No.
All right. Well, you guys were incredibly easy today. It's a little frightening, actually. We have 13 more minutes available in this class, and believe it or not, the class is done. So I'm going to ask this kind of general question. Do you have any questions for me at all that you were hoping I would cover that I didn't, or maybe something that came to mind while we were doing this and you were waiting to see if I would get to it? Any questions at all?
No.
No.
Okay. All right. Would either of you like me to email you this video of the class that you just took?
I'll have to ask really quick.
Okay, go ahead and ask. I don't know which one of you that was. I don't know if that you'd like to get it or not.
No, thank you. I took notes.
Okay, all right. And by the way, on our website, there is already a video of the class that I did with other people that you can watch as well. But I was just asking if you guys actually wanted the class that you attended. But that's fine. So not for you, and I'll just wait to hear what she has to say. I do want to say thank you, by the way, for attending this class, because the people who are most familiar with the software are the people who end up liking it the most. So I do appreciate the time that you took the time today. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you took the time today to attend this class. If you'd like to leave, you're welcome to. And I'm just waiting to hear the other one to find out if she wants the recording.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You too.
Do you want to email the video of the class to you? What's your email? Do you have your email? Yes, I would like that.
Okay, and what's the email address you'd like me to send it to?
It's Jen, Jen.
Jen.
At Celeslies. So
Celeslies.
Celeslies.com.
Easy enough. All right, you should have that in about an hour.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye-bye.